Hey, good afternoon guys. Happy Sunday the 13th. Today I want to talk about a topic that, much like gravity, will have an effect on everybody, every one of you, whether you're a gamer, a professional, you're a student, you're a worker, whether you live in the US, you don't live in the US, you understand it, you don't understand it, you care to understand it or don't care to understand it. The topic I want to talk about is basically what's going on right now with the shutdown of the US government and the repercussions that this situation right now is going to have in future either weeks, months, or upcoming years. The first question you probably want to ask yourself is, why did the government shut down? And the simple answer is the same reason why you stop buying stuff. You don't have the money to do it. Now, the US, the issue that we have right now is that we have actually reached our debt ceiling. That means that we have borrowed as much as we can. We've maxed out our credit cards. And as you can probably decipher by this point, we've actually been using debt to pay other debt. And right now what that means is that our income wasn't, to begin with, able to basically be enough to pay for the debts that we had. Therefore, we had to borrow the missing money from other areas, whether it was from the Federal Reserve, other countries, etc. We've right now maxed out our credit cards. Our income still isn't sufficient enough to pay our bills, so we're trying to raise the debt ceiling so we can keep paying our debt with borrowed money, which is going to do one of two things, either sooner rather than later. Two options the Congress has. They can either not raise the debt ceiling and basically allow the US to go into default, which they'll have a series of consequences, or we can raise the debt ceiling, allow the US to keep borrowing money to pay for its debts and just cause hyperinflation. That's just basically going to put a band-aid and buy us a little bit more time until the inevitable happens. What that means is that we're going to try and figure out how to either decrease debt or increase income to basically make the problem a non-permanent problem, or we're just eventually going to get there eventually with more debt than we should have to begin with. Now, the worst of the two, one is going to lead to it anyway, it's just going to postpone it, and the one that we have to face at some point is going to be the actual and utter default of the US. When that happens, what's going to happen is that we're going to impact every single economy around the world, because the US is the largest consumer of goods of any nations in the world. Therefore, countries like China, Japan, UK, Canada, Brazil, Australia, countries that are right now supplying us with goods, they're going to have a substantially decrease in income. So if they're an output country which is spending a lot of money in their infrastructure to keep jobs going, now this income is not coming in anymore, they're going to have a situation, because I'm sure that they also borrowed money to expand their countries to keep up with the demand that the US was supplying as far as the goods that respective countries produces. Whew, that's a lot to say in one sentence. Anyway, the impact on you is as follows. If and when the US goes into default, and by the way, just so you know, this is supposed to happen. Those of you that are conspiracy theorists, that understand how the US works, how the economy works, have heard things, and this is supposed to happen. This is basically the introduction of New World Order, is basically what it is. And the world wars that have to subsequently happen are also part of the plan. This is just going to be right now the catalyst. You have to create a basic breakdown of you have to break something in order to recreate it bigger, better, or different. Doesn't matter. You have to break it down. So right now, this is going to break not only our economy, but every single economy worldwide, so that we can actually start implementing a one world government and a one world currency. That's basically the whole purpose of doing this whole situation. This other topic that I really can't cover because it's just too lengthy for me to make a video out of, but you can research it on your own. It's called the Global Reset, which is basically just like a video game. Remember back in those days when you had those games, you put a code in and you hit whatever and the game would reset, and now you would have the game but with that new thing that you added because of the code? That's exactly what this is. We're still going to have the world, we're still going to have economies, but it's going to be economies the way that the powerful want it to be, in this case, i.e. the banks. When and if this whole situation happens and the economic breakdown happens, what are some of the things that will definitely have to occur? World war is going to be one of the things that has to happen. Why? Because along with you changing the government, you have to change the laws. In order to change those laws, you have to break the previous laws. In order to break those previous laws, you have to redraw the constitutionalized and civil rights documentation that every country has. And therefore, you have to redraw also the regions of each country. How do you do that? War. You remove people from power that are not on board with your plan. You remove those people from power, and you put people into power in those situations that are actually on board with your plan. We've removed a total of 3 people so far, and I'm sure there's more on that list, but Saddam Hussein, gone. Egypt ruler, gone. Iranian ruler, gone. So we basically removed a lot of people, and we're still in the process of removing several more. The war is going to happen to basically redraw the lines of basically the property lines of each individual country. Whether it's Europe, they're going to take over full countries or parts of other countries. The same thing in the US. So you're going to be seeing this chaotic situation. It's basically going to redraw constitutions, civil rights. It's also going to basically redraw the lines of each country. It's going to redistribute different laws and different religions worldwide. It's going to be chaos. When something happens that is of change, people are going to be in an uproar. So it's going to be an implementation of martial law full boat, which we have seen it so far. You're probably going to see a lot of homelessness because if the U.S. can't pay bills, and it's going to be chaos as well as in the stock market. Companies are going to go under. People are going to become unemployed. The price of everything's going to go through the roof. You're going to have basically a Nazi Germany type time period or a time in Russia when you're basically had double-digit inflation day in and day out. So you're going to have homelessness. You're going to probably have famine. You're going to have uproars. You're going to have riots. It's going to be just hell in the streets if and when this happens. However, like I mentioned before, this is something that is already planned and scheduled to happen. The best way for me to describe this in terms of why haven't we heard about it, why have the news not covered it, why is it something that's not in the mainstream, is because it's a very dangerous topic. It's an extremely dangerous topic for somebody of a lot of reach out to be able to cover something like this that people would believe, because it would cause a gigantic situation. But the best way for me to explain it, to give a quick synopsis, is this. Imagine that you are you're running for school president. Let's say your school has 100 and some odd students and whatnot. And you basically have set things into motion that you know that if somebody finds out about it before they're supposed to, it could definitely jeopardize your presidential position in your high school. Now, like everything else, there's a point where things are set into motion that no matter what happens, you're not going to stop it. And I think that you're definitely going to be seeing this situation become very much in the forefront, because nobody's going to really care at some point, because once it's set into motion to the point that it can be turned around, nobody's going to care whether you know about it or not. It's too late. And then the people that were saying conspiracy theory, those people are crazy, they don't know what they're talking about. When it happens, it's like, damn, I shoulda, coulda, woulda listened back in those days, and I didn't. Now here it is in my front door, and I can't do shit about it. I'm actually going to put another video up next. It's about a 37 minute video by a gentleman by the name of Glenn Beck. He used to work for Fox, no longer works for them, but he covered a topic about the Federal Reserve that I think is very important for some of you that have the interest to actually pay attention to. So I'm going to conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. Click on my next video. It should be uploaded shortly. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.